Welcome, welcome everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We'll give it another few, maybe 30 seconds. There's a lot of people joining us today, so thank you. Hello, my name's Maria. We'll give it another few seconds. There's a lot of folks joining us today. So great to see you all. Feel free to keep your camera on. We love seeing faces, but if you're not able, you can just keep your camera off. And everyone will be muted when you first come in. Welcome everyone. My name is Maria. Look at all this. This is great. We're already at 50. It's a great topic. We're all gearing up for next week, bringing our students back. So we're getting excited. So I'll go ahead and get started. I think we're at a good point here. My name is Maria Reyna, and I'm the Director of Orientation and Family Programs. I'm really excited to have all of you join us this afternoon. The topic on housing, and I know most of you are anxiously ready to bring your students on campus next week. So we're excited to welcome all of your students to Eastern next week. So I just wanted to give a couple announcements. The first being that we wanted to go ahead and let you know that our next Zoom/webinar topic will be introducing all of you to the Dean of Students, Samantha Armstrong, and that'll be on October 6th at 6 p.m. So the way we will do these webinars and invites is that we let all of our families know by sending you an email and letting you know the topic. And then again, we'll send you directly the Zoom link, and then we will have that on our website as well. So we will let you, more information to come, but we definitely wanted you all to have an opportunity to meet our Dean of Students. Who is the Dean of Students? What is her role at Eastern Washington University? And really just doing some Q&A with her. But all of you are here to talk to Melanie Potts in regards to housing. So Melanie will introduce herself here, and then we'll talk about, in the chat is where you'll be able to ask your questions specifically. So we'll start with the chat function first. So all of you may have questions. And so we'll definitely start with the chat, and then you'll be able to unmute yourself too here later once we start going through some of the questions in the chat. Then Melanie Potts is our Director of Housing and Residential Life. Yes, I don't know why I second guessed myself because I only said it a bazillion times this summer. But Melanie, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon to help our families, our parents with the next steps of having their students join us next week. And so we'll have you give us a little bit of information that you have, and then we'll open it up in the chat. Feel free to start asking some questions as soon as Melanie stops with some of her introductions. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us. I really welcome you to the Eagle family, and stay tuned for next events that we'll be having too. All right, Melanie.
Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. I know that right now at the institution, I probably have the hottest topic. So move in. I'm going to give you a little bit of information because I think probably a lot of you have the same questions. And so I might be able to answer some of the most common ones we hear, and the things that we know can be a little bit confusing. And then from there, like Maria said, go ahead and feel free to pop your questions into the chat. We'll get to as many of those as we possibly can. I want to be mindful of everybody's time, but we'll try and get as many of those answered as possible. Some of them I may not answer like out loud to the whole group because it's very specific to your student. And so if that's the case, I will be just kind of hopping in there into the chat as well to try and respond to those specifically. So with that being said, the first thing that I want to say is this is going to be my if you count the ones when I was a student, this will be like my 20th move-in here on campus. And we have done this really like a variety of ways. And I got to tell you, I think that the way we're doing it now is probably the most efficient way that we have ever done it. I think it's the most friendly to our families. It helps keep the traffic flow going, which is always a concern. And so I promise you it works. And the best way that it works is if you help us by following the directions that we give you. So please don't go rogue. We have a plan, and when we work the plan works. So here we go. What move-in day is going to look like. First of all, there's some prep work that has to be done for move-in, and I want to cover a couple of those things. First of all, if your student, or if you are a student and you're listening right now, has not yet requested their Eagle card, they need to do that prior to Monday, the 12th. The reason that we need everybody to request those ahead of time is that is how we load meal plans, and it is also your access into the building. So having that done ahead of time is critically important. If you do not do it ahead of time, you will be standing in a very long line to get a photo taken and a card printed, and then you're going to have to come to our office on top of having already gone to the other office. You'll come to our office, then we'll get it programmed with access to the building. So it just works much, much better if you will go ahead and have students submit that ahead of time. So please, please take care of the Eagle card by the 12th. The other thing that we need everybody to do is sign up for a move-in time slot. A link was sent to each of your students with their assignment in it, and the link to go and sign up for that time slot. And we need to do that. It really helps us strategize, keep the traffic flow moving appropriately, and it helps us have a sense of who's actually going to be joining us. So if your student has not yet done that, please make sure that they do that. The other piece that you likely will want to take advantage of doing in advance is parking passes. Parking passes are not a physical thing that you have to pick up. So if your student is bringing a car, I would recommend that they log in on the parking website and get signed up for a parking pass as soon as possible. That's just so that it's a thing they don't have to think about. On move-in weekend, nobody gets ticketed. We understand that there's no possible way for us to keep track of what car should be here and shouldn't be here. And we also, it's like, that would be a stupid amount of extra work for everybody to do to keep track of what cars are here and staying and what cars are leaving. And there's just no reason for it. So we are not ticketing opening weekend. Please do not worry about that. You just have to get that parking permit if your student plans to park on campus throughout the quarter or the year. So those are kind of the things that we want you to take advantage of doing in advance. They really help us. It makes everything go much more smoothly. The Eagle card, if you sign up for it in advance, when you get your keys at our drive-through station where you'll pick up your keys, we are going to hand you that card and the key packet at the same time. So there's no worrying about making an extra stop. I saw some questions popping in with questions about if the photo was approved or not. So just as long as your student is watching their Eastern email account, that's where they'll get a bounce back if it was not approved. If they hear nothing, that means it was approved. So we're all good to go. Okay. What you want to hear in this scenario is nothing. And then if you get the bounce back, the biggest thing, the biggest struggle that we have is people trying to take really like an artsy and attractive selfie. And that ends up being, either a little bit too far away or at some fancy angle. And it just doesn't allow us to actually see a person's face. This picture is only going to be on their card, similar to probably what is a horrendous driver's license photo that other people may have, like I have, but it's going to be okay. Glamour shots not necessary. Please just submit a well-lighted, non-busy background. Like this would be kind of a nightmare background for that. Just a face, please. So if your student is struggling with the back and forth of that, please just encourage them. This does not have to be your most beautiful photo. It just has to be a functional photo. Okay, so that's enough about Eagle cards. Really quickly, I want to go through with you how move-in day will work. Hopefully, y'all have taken a look at the move-in guide on our website. I am actually going to share my screen here real quick, just because I think it's helpful to get a look. So if you have not yet gone to this, are people, for those of you that have your cameras on, oh, wrong screen, I think. Okay. All right, let's do this again. So do you see? Oh my God. Do you see like a website looking page, or do you see a beautiful picture of a rainbow? Website?
It looks like the website.
Okay, yay, because it's saying that it's sharing it on my picture of my rainbow from when I went to Hawaii. So that would not have been helpful to you in any way. Okay, here is our website. When you come to our website, ewu.edu/housing, if you miss the move-in guide, I have concerns because it's just really right here in front of your face. So you can just click on the move-in guide right here. And this is going to walk you through all the information about how this works. I want to talk to you a little bit about this map. Please follow our maps and not probably your GPS, because there's a certain route that we want you to take. And it's just going to keep traffic flowing in a really good direction. So when you come in, you're gonna go, you can see the football field is over here. If you're coming from, down here, which I believe is south, if you're coming from the south, you're gonna drive past it and go all the way to Tailgate Lane. There will be balloons. You will see it. If you're coming from the north and heading south, again, here, you will not have quite gotten to the football field, but you're going to drive through here, and then we're going to send you on your way after you get your keys and stuff from us. There is going to be a stop along the way where we are going to verify that your student has uploaded all of their vaccination information. And that's not to say that a student has to be vaccinated to be in compliance with the requirement that the institution has. A student has to be in compliance, which means they have gotten their vaccination and submitted documentation proving so, or they have submitted an exception to that policy, an exemption from the policy. So please make sure that your student takes care of that in advance. Otherwise, we'll have them kind of pull off to the side here and get that uploaded. And once they can show us that it's uploaded, they're going to move on through to get their keys. We're not handing out keys until people are in compliance with that. So please make sure to take care of that in advance. Once you get your keys from us, either we will immediately say, yep, there's space, go ahead and go down to the unloading zone. Or we will say, hey, could you park your car over here real quick? And we're going to come tell you as soon as the space has opened up. We're doing that really intentionally to try and keep our unloading zones from being as chaotic as they could potentially be. And we also would rather that you were parked up here waiting than blocking streets. It just doesn't work as well for the city, and the fire department gets real mad at us when we block the streets. So please just wait up here and we will send you down as soon as there's a spot available. I have rarely seen somebody wait more than like 10 minutes. So it shouldn't be too bad. We should be able to keep things flowing. That is the beauty of the signing up for the time slot. A quick note on time slots. People get really concerned about two things when it comes to time slots. One, they wonder, do I really only have a half hour to move in? Like I have to get there right at 10 o'clock in the morning and I have to be done by 10:30. And the other thing that people wonder is, man, what if I run into traffic, or apparently Mount Rainier is, acting up? What if there's chaos with that? Like whatever the situation may be. We want you to understand that if you get there late, we're just going to work you into the system. We understand that things happen and travel does not always go exactly how we would want. The other thing is, if you get there early, we are going to hold you out. So early does not work in your favor. Late, we will work to help you out with that. No worries, we get it. The other piece of moving in is once you leave us up at the check-in station where you pick up keys, you're going to head down to your respective building. When you get to that building, you are not parking there and staying there. You'll just pull in. We will have volunteers that are going to help you unload the vehicle. And once the vehicle is unloaded, then you go off and park up here back in this parking lot. Or you can find some parking on the street, something like that. But you may not park in the loading zones. Those are loading and unloading only. That allows us to get people moving through and keep things going. We will have volunteers that are going to actually like load up your student stuff into a cart and take it up to their room. So don't worry about how long it might take. Just let us help you and we'll keep those cars moving and it'll go as quickly as it can. The biggest hangup that you're going to find is that elevators only move so quickly. So that's where we end up with some lines. Typically, it's not in unloading. It's more in actually getting your stuff in a bin and headed upstairs. So bear with us. The elevators are 2 elevators in each of the buildings that have elevators. In Anderson, there are not elevators. So that's something to keep in mind. But in Pierce, Sinyamansuit, and Streeter, we have elevators and there are 2 for the whole building. And we're working them hard on those days. So please be patient with us. We're doing the best that we can to get you through as quickly as possible. The other thing that we ask is please follow the directions about where to go out so that we don't get all gunked up on our streets. So as you can see with Sinyamansuit and Dryden and Streeter, it really is just continuing up these streets and then heading out and around to get back. We ask that you do that and that we just keep this traffic one way, because with cars coming and going in alternate directions, it really creates problems for us in getting going. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing because you've taken a look at the map. Hopefully you'll take some time to digest that and be able to navigate that process. We're also going to have volunteers pretty much everywhere, all over the place on those days. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. We want to get you pointed in the right direction. Once you get to the building and you're unloading, like I said, with elevators, it can take some time. We also have just a finite number of carts. So we do not hand carts over to students and families. Instead, what we do is we have a volunteer that stays with that cart and they will help you load it up and unload it at the room. And we do that very strategically because after years of doing this, we have discovered that carts get very slowly unloaded when we are not pushing the envelope on that. And then all of a sudden, all of our carts are up on floors with no help for the people that are down there waiting to move in and get their stuff moved in. So we promise, like, we are not trying to be stingy. We're actually trying to be generous with the use of those carts. And so we are just going to have volunteers keep their hands fastened to those things the whole time. Other things with move-in day, it can be pretty chaotic and overwhelming. There's just a lot of people. It's a lot going on. It's also super fun. We'll be baking cookies and handing those out just as a little treat for while you might be waiting in line for that elevator. We'll have lots of staff available to help answer any questions that you may have. But the biggest thing that I would ask you to do is this is going to be kind of a stressful time for your student as well. And as much as you can keep it at like a 5 to 7 when they start to go to a 10, that would be super helpful to us. We know that this is really overwhelming. People are meeting a roommate for the first time, which can be kind of a crazy experience, and people aren't sure what to think about that. And as excited as they are telling you they are to move out and get on with life and college, as much as that is the case, they are also really sad to be separating from you, just as you are from them. And this is a really exciting time, and there's a lot of feelings that go along with it. So I want to encourage you all to embrace this experience, and also just know that we are partners with you in helping your student transition to this new time and opportunity. So that being said, I think I'm going to jump into questions, and I want to leave plenty of time for that instead of y'all just listening to me ramble about what I think you think is important. So Megan, go ahead. Do you have some questions that you can send my way?
Yeah, definitely. So the first one is, I'm kind of combining a few different questions, but students who have permission to move in early, so like for marching band or for athletics or for ROTC, how does their move-in process work?
Yeah, so that is a little bit different for each of those groups, unfortunately, because some of them come in on the weekend and some of them come in on a weekday. The students that are coming in on the weekend, and there will be an email going to your student today with all of this information, so tell them to look for that tonight. We'll be sending that out by end of business today, but just to give you an overview, students that have been approved to come early will go straight to their building if they are arriving on the weekend, or if they are arriving outside of regular business hours, which we would consider like 8:30 to 5. So if you are arriving after business hours or on the weekend, go straight to the building the student has been assigned to. They will be expecting you. They will have a list of the people that have been approved, and they will give you your keys. There's going to be on the outside of the building, there will be an on-call number that is posted. So that's how you get somebody to come greet you at the door, and they'll get you the keys and hook you up with a bin. Unfortunately, the early people don't get the same amount of volunteers and stuff, so you're kind of going to be on your own for moving your stuff in, but we'll still hook you up with those carts and stuff to make that process easier. For anybody that is arriving on a weekday during business hours, so again, like 8:30 to 5, you'll come to the housing office, which is located in Sinyamansuit. When you come to the housing office, we will have all of the keys down here, and we'll get those handed over to you and tell you how to get connected with a bin, and make sure that all of that is good. I saw the question just pop in, those arriving on the weekends, will they be given their Eagle card? Yes, their Eagle card will be in the hall office there at the building they have been assigned to, and they will get that at that time, just so long as it has been so for those of you arriving over the weekend early, I would say if you don't get that request in today, chances are not good it will be there waiting for you. A lot of times it takes a couple days for the Eagle Card office to process all those requests. And so I would say have it in by tonight if you hope to get it at the time that you move in over the weekend. If you have not submitted it by then, or if you submit it, like Friday or something, Monday is going to be the time to check in and pick up that Eagle card. Got another one, Megan?
I do. Yeah. Thanks for answering that
Perfect.
one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions about the vaccine requirement and
Okay.
if students will get confirmation when those are accepted once they're uploaded. Do you know the answer to that?
So if the question is, if they are requesting an exemption, then yes, for sure, you will get a confirmation. You will be informed via email if your request has been accepted. If you are just submitting documentation like, you know, immunization records from the state or whatever it is that you have, a vaccine card for the, because don't forget, this is a thing that I think people overlook. People are, of course, because of the pandemic that we've been going through, hyper fixated on the COVID one and getting that taken care of. But this also applies to the MMR. So we also have a policy about the MMR. So make sure that both of those are uploaded. Anyway, so if your exemption is approved, you'll get an email. If you have uploaded your stuff, I would recommend that you just log in again because I don't know that you will get an email confirmation. I would just log in again and see if it's there. And that would be the best way to do it at this point in time.
And then kind of piggybacking off of that, there was a question, if a student was in Running Start last year, are they still required to upload that documentation again for the vaccine?
Once you've done it once, you don't have to do it again. So, you know, once we have your information, we're good to go. The other question that I have gotten personally from a few students is, say a student is mid-process with the 2-shot series of the COVID, for example. So a student has had their first shot, but they won't be able to get their second one until, you know, after move-in. As long as you have uploaded your documentation of the first one and you let us know that you're in process, we will allow a student to move in that instance.
Great. Next question. There is someone who's wondering how their student can request his bed height to be increased and when does that happen?
Okay, so here's how bed heights work. I'm sure you've looked on our website. The fact that you're even asking the question implies to me that you've looked at our website. So our beds are adjustable. They can go, in my opinion, unreasonably low to the ground. I don't know why you would want it that low to the ground. And then they can go all the way up to 39 inches is where they go up to. Those are adjustable. Students can do that themselves. We have mallets in the hall offices exactly for this purpose, because trust me, you do not want to be trying to bang on these things with your hand. They are in there tight, which is good. That's safer. But you are going to want to come down and get the mallet to kind of pop it loose. If you end up struggling with this process, our staff can try and help you with that. But just know there's not a ton of us that understand these beds. The student staff will do their best to help you and we will get somebody to you, but it might not be the second that you're hoping for. So just bear with us as we try to navigate different problems like that. The other thing is we would ask that you please not bring risers. They are slippy and they're not as safe as you want people want to think that they are. And we would just ask that please do not bring risers to put the bed up on, just utilize the up and down feature. The 39 inches tends to work pretty well for people for anything from a mini fridge to like a set of those sort of like, you know, like Sterilite makes those drawers, those plastic drawers. We see all kinds of stuff going under there. The other thing I will say is in Sinyamin suit only. So if you have a student moving into Sinyamin suit, we have a very limited number of lofting kits. And we are going to be sending out an email probably tomorrow to students who have been assigned to Sinyamin suit with a link to a form where they could request a lofting kit. The thing that I would encourage you to talk to your student about if they are going to request a lofting kit is that it puts you really high up in the air, like more than maybe you would think. And so if you're going up there, just keep in mind that if you need to go to the bathroom or something in the middle of the night, you also have to come down. And some people find that they don't super love that once they're actually living in it. So I would just encourage you to have a good conversation with your student about that. The other thing that I will say is we will put the kit in your room, but it will be up to you and your student to assemble it. We will have instructions, and then we do an inspection of the assembly after you have done it. So that's another thing to keep in mind with lofting.
And then running with that theme of beds, the question was, what sizes are the beds?
So we have twins and extra long twins. What I would tell you, and so we have extra long twins in Sinyamin suit and Anderson. What I would encourage you to do is just buy twin extra long sheets. They're going to work on a twin. And if for some reason your student ends up changing rooms or something like that, it is going to work in any of the buildings. Whereas if you buy regular twin sheets, they may not work. So I would encourage you to go with twin extra long.
And then we're just going to keep going with the bed theme.
Okay.
So does the lofting kit include rails for the beds?
Yes, so there are two required rails as a part of the assembly. There's one that goes on the side of the bed, and that's partially stabilization and partially please do not fall out of this bed. And then the other rail goes on the bottom half of the kit on the back side, and that's just another stabilization piece to make sure that it's safe.
And then there's this more situational question, but I think it's a good one.
Okay.
If there's a student living in a triple in Sinyamin suit, would you recommend lofting the bed in that type of situation?
I think, oh, just real quickly, the other thing with lofting is you could also bunk in Sinyamin suit. So the lofting kit is also can be partially like a bunking kit. So just let us know if you're bunking or lofting. Anyway, in a triple, it's not necessary, but I would say it is kind of nice. It looks nice and feels more spacious when people do loft, just because there's, for every person, they get a bed, a desk, a set of like 3 drawers and an armoire. And in the triples, the armoires start to seem like this is a lot of closetry. And so when you loft, it's nice to be able to put like a desk underneath there or something. But again, not necessary. There's plenty of room for all of it. It's just a preference thing.
Okay. Is there a picture or a room layout available for the triple, like 3-person rooms in Anderson Hall? Do you know?
We should have one of those. The thing with an Anderson room is that if you visualize a double room and its width, so if you were looking at that picture, it just goes deeper. So it's not wider, it's just longer. But I'm trying to look here real quickly and see if we have those posted. There's just not very many triples. So we don't typically post it, but I can look for that. If the person who is requesting that wants to provide an email address in a private message to Megan, she can get me that and I can send that to you separately.
Perfect. And then another question, I think I know the answer, but if you just want to answer generally, mini fridges are not provided, correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
Mini fridges are not provided. So if you're bringing a mini fridge or a microwave, that's something that you're going to bring on your own.
Awesome.
I would really encourage you to talk with the roommate ahead of time and not both bring a microwave or both bring a mini fridge, because that is a waste of space. So have those conversations in advance whenever possible.
Another question, and this is going back to parking. So when a student does get a parking pass with the residential parking pass, where can they park their cars?
Sure. So around the buildings, there are what are called RH lots. And so when it comes to, let's get back to my move-in map, I'll be able to give you just kind of a sense. Okay, so here on our map, this is Pierce Hall down here. This yellowed in lot right here, students with parking passes can park all in here. And then it's just a little bop across the street and they're right there at Pierce. For Sinyaman Suit and really Streeter, Dryden, all of 10th Street here is a parking lot. When you get here, you'll see there's parking spaces on either side of the street, and those are all permitted parking spaces. Then along the back side of Streeter, on one side of the street, the side closest to the building, there's also parking spaces delineated, and those are also assigned to residence hall students. And then finally, just up the street a little way behind this building that we no longer use, Morrison, there's a parking lot back there, and that is also a space that is designated for residence hall students. If you are living in Anderson, obviously the most ideal parking, if you're using a parking permit, is these spaces right here along 10th Street. But what I will tell you is it is a little bit competitive, but there is street parking here along Cedar Street, and then some that goes here up 9th Street. You'll just want to make sure if your student opts not to get a parking pass and they're going to park on the street, Cheney has some really specific, in certain spots, specific times where you are not supposed to be parked there. So it's from like 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. or something like that. That's not all street parking, but there are some zones that are like that. So make sure your student pays attention to that. And then the other thing about parking in the street for a student to pay attention to is that during the winter, when we inevitably get snow, you can end up plowed in, and that is not super fun. So it's just a thing to be paying attention to, and they'll make some announcements about where they're plowing and what side of the street and all of that stuff.
Awesome. Going back to maps real quick, someone wants to know if there are maps of each hall available to know where the rooms are located in that building.
We do not really have map floor plans like that. If there's like a specific reason that you're needing that information, you could reach out to our email, which is housing@ewu.edu, and we'd be able to give you a sense of directionality. But we don't have really any good floor plans like that to share.
Awesome. Okay, let's see. The next question, how do students pay for their laundry? This person thinks they read that machines can be synced to phones, but they just want to clarify.
Yeah, so all our laundry is done through an app. In the move-in packet that you get, please encourage your student to actually look at what is inside that move-in packet. There's going to be information in there about doing laundry. There will be information in there about completing an inspection of their room so that we all agree on what the condition of the room was at the time of move-in. There's like some goodies in there, just extra information. So I would really encourage you to take a look at that and all the information inside. But there will be specific instructions about how to use the app. There's also going to be a code emailed to all your students that is the laundry code that they use to log in there. It's like a coupon code, and the instructions will tell exactly how to do that. And so laundry is basically included in your cost of housing. You do not have to load your own money. So if at some point it is asking them to load their own money, they need to make sure that they have uploaded that coupon code into their app. And then if that's still not working, have them talk to their community advisor on their floor, and we'll be able to get them a new code if for some reason that one isn't working.
Awesome. Another question, if a student is living in a single, but it's a double room, this person wants to know if there's a place to store the extra bed. This particular student is in Streeter, but I think that's a good question for every hall.
Yeah, so all furniture that is in your room when you move in has to remain in your room. We do not have the storage space to be storing people's extra stuff. So what we often see people do with extra beds is just dismantle them and put them under a second bed. The one thing is make sure that that bed is reassembled at the time of move out, because we do like charge a fee for the extra time it takes to reset all those up. So, but breaking it down and putting it under the bed, in a closet, something like that, totally fine. Taking it out of the room, sorry, not going to be an option.
Another question. So this person is wondering, specifically for Sinyamin suit, the layout showed in a triple room a specific layout. Is this the way the room is already set up for the students when they move in?
No, all the furniture is movable. It is likely, we request of our custodial staff to kind of like move it to edges and stuff like that and make it look presentable. And they do that as much and often as possible, but there are times when we're trying to turn over a whole building where some room might look kind of like, what? Since all the furniture is movable, we encourage you to set it up the way that you prefer.
Awesome. A question about move-in day. So this question essentially is asking, the daughter's move-in time is for Friday, but the parents want to stick around, maybe do some shopping and then drop things off on Saturday. Is that allowed?
Yeah, I just would say communicate with your student and then make sure that whenever it is that y'all are going to connect, try as much as you can to make sure that doesn't conflict too much with the welcome week schedule. There's a lot of really good events and informational presentations and stuff like that that are going to be happening as a part of welcome week. And so we really encourage students to participate in that instead of hanging out with their parents all weekend. Sorry. So please encourage them to check that schedule and then coordinate those efforts as needed. But yeah, we have a lot of people that do that. So totally works.
Awesome. A question on meal plans. Is there a place where students can use their on-campus meal plans to buy groceries either on or off campus?
So a part of the meal plan is flex dollars, or what we call them. So there's going to be an amount of money loaded onto your student's Eagle card that is called a la carte. And that can be used at any of the on-campus dining facilities. There is kind of like a convenience store type market in the Pence Union building. We all call it the pub. There's a convenience store in there that they can use those a la carte points for and purchase some basic grocery stuff there. The flex money, we have partnerships with different places in the Cheney community. So a couple of those are grocery stores. There's at least 2 grocery stores that are doing that. And then there's also just some random restaurants, you know, like Domino's and Zips and stuff like that. Flex can be used at any of those places. So just have them keep track of how much flex they have left, and they'll be able to use it for that.
Awesome. This is a fun question. What are the community advisors' planned activities for everyone to get to know each other?
Sure. So I can't speak to what each and every community advisor will do because we kind of give them some freedom to do, you know, a variety of things. But what I can tell you will happen is there's going to be a floor meeting on Friday night that your student should attend. And there will be like get to know you activities and stuff like that happening then. They're going to be taking students to the various welcome week activities. Their groups are based on what floor they live on, so that helps with getting to know the people on the floor. And then also we will have full building events that are going on, but that CAs will take students to just as a group. Throughout the first quarter, they're also going to be having just like anything from super silly stuff that they're doing together, like tie-dye or watching The Bachelor or whatever the case may be, to some more like designated specific, I don't want to call it team building, but like get to know you stuff, floor dinners, those sorts of things. So there's going to be a lot. There will be, here's the thing, there are going to be like signs and posters up absolutely everywhere. And so what's going to happen is your student is going to notice those posters for 3 days. And then they just go blind. But there's still not a way better way for us to get that information out there. So I would really encourage them, like when they're waiting for an elevator, because it's often on a bulletin board next to an elevator, stuff like that, just kind of take a look at what's going on. CAs will also knock on doors, put little pieces of paper on door handles, write something on the mirror in the bathroom, but encourage your student to try and pay attention to the things around them, because we just haven't found a way better way of getting that information to them other than putting up what seems like a zillion posters. So I would encourage them to actually read as many of those as possible.
Definitely. I could not agree more with that. There's a couple of questions about Welcome Week, so I can kind of answer those just because that's more in my territory. But yeah, so the questions are if there are family events for Welcome Week. The answer is yes. And so what we are planning to do, and I did put our schedule in the chat there, but so for that Thursday and Friday, we do have a couple of events that families are invited to if you're around. The Thursday night, we are inviting everyone to come out to the Spokane Chiefs game. So it's a hockey game that will be happening on campus here at 5 o'clock. So that'll be a really fun activity. Bring your student. Yeah, it'll be a great time. So check that out. And then the Friday is our campus movie, and your students will be led from the residence hall meeting to that movie. And so we encourage you, if you want to attend that as well, please come. And then Saturday morning is our university welcome, where it's more of a, I wouldn't say formal presentation, but our president speaks. We have a few guest speakers who just do more of a formal welcome to the new students in the new class. And that's on Roos Field, but we really encourage students to come to that as well, and families are invited. But then after that, it's really just geared towards the new students, all of the activities following that. So yeah, I hope that answers your questions. And I think the website, the Spokane Chiefs game just got confirmed this week, so I do have to update the website, but you can keep referring back to that website throughout the week to see any changes that were made to the schedule, or just to keep you in the loop on what you or your student should be going to. So yeah. Melanie, another question for you. How or where do you order lofting kits for the beds?
So we are going to be sending the link for that out. It will be an online form. We're going to send that out by end of day today to Senyaman residents. So they are going to be first come, first served. So have your student check their email later this afternoon, and they should be able to find that form via that link and make that request.
Awesome. Those are all the questions that I have. Oh, I just saw one pop in. Here we go. First of all, how high is a loft kit? I think you mentioned that earlier, but do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, so again, that's sort of can be variable, because you can, just like you can adjust the bed height, you could adjust the bed height and then put it on top of another bed. So you're looking at 39 inches plus whatever you set it at. And we see students set them at over 5 feet in the air. And it's just kind of crazy, but we see them do it. But that's kind of, they get to choose their own adventure to a certain extent there, because the bed, I mean, you're basically just setting the bed on top of another bed in essence. And so that's how much height you gain.
Awesome. And then a question, I don't know if you touched on this yet, but during the move-in process, you know, if a student is bringing their car and then the family member is also bringing a car as well, are both cars allowed to go through the check-in process?
Yes, so both cars can go through the check-in process, and you can go at the same time to go unload, but both cars also need to move out of the unloading area out at the same time. Also, I just want to say, and if you're going to do this, that's fine, but we see U-Hauls every year. Someone brings a U-Haul, and I would like to encourage you to think about that. Now, maybe you're bringing that because you have like a sedan and you literally can't fit everything in there. Totally get it. But sometimes there's like a really big truck pulling a decent sized U-Haul. And what I want to tell you, I'm here to tell you today, your room is not big enough for that stuff. And if you're bringing your own mattress, bed, chair, stuff like that, what I said earlier about all your stuff has to stay in your room still applies. So just be thoughtful and mindful about that, because I think you will find that you need less stuff than you maybe thought you needed. So that is my PSA for the day.
That's a good rule of thumb, I would say.
Yeah.
A couple more questions, and then we will probably wrap up for the day. But one question, are room numbers given at move-in?
Room numbers have actually already gone out. So those are sitting in your student's email as we speak. And so we sent those out. At this point in time, we really can't make any more changes. We've pretty much made all the room changes we're going to be able to make, because now we've got early arrivals coming and things just get more and more complex with trying to make those changes. The one exception to that is every time I get a cancel, I also move somebody out of temporary housing into a permanent spot. So those are room changes that are pretty much guaranteed to happen. But if there was a certain roommate that you were looking for, or you were hoping for a single room, if you haven't heard from us yet that that's happening, that's probably not going to happen at this point. You'll have to wait for the room change process that will open up about 2 weeks into the quarter to make that request.
Awesome. And then the last two questions kind of go together. So questions about shipping belongings, student belongings to the residence halls, tips if that's permissible. Yeah.
Definitely. So what I would encourage you to do is just ship it directly to what your student's address is. So the addresses should be posted there on the move-in guide. When you're sending something to your student, you just do the street address and the room number with their name and stuff, obviously, but street address, room number, all that good stuff. And we will get that sent on up to them. They will probably have to come down to their hall office to pick it up. But it should be just right there in their hall office, and they can grab that on move-in day or whenever it arrives. And that's how it'll work with all packages. We log them all through an online system. And so it will send them an email and sometimes a text if they're signed up for texting. And that information will go to them that they have a package to come down to their hall office and pick up.
Awesome. Well, I don't have any more questions in my queue.
Okay.
Does anyone have just a burning question that they just want to ask really quick with the last couple of minutes that we have? No? Awesome. Well, Melanie, thank you so much. Do you have any last things to say?
No, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming and getting this information. It's going to make your day a lot smoother, I think, hopefully. And I would just encourage everybody to come prepared, you know, for the unexpected. So I have had move-in days of pouring rain, and I have had move-in days of so much smoke we can't be outside, and I've had move-in days of blistering heat, but I've also had days of like 70 degrees and a little bit overcast or sunny. So just know that we're trying to control as many variables as we can, and weather is not one of them. So bear with us there, and just have your patience ready for those times where you may be waiting in an elevator line, because we know that that is frustrating and we're getting you in there as quickly as we can.
Definitely. Awesome. And all I have to say, we're really excited to have you on campus so soon. You and your new students. And Maria and I, my supervisor, we're going to be tabling in the Pence Union building on that Thursday and Friday. So come to the pub and meet us. And we actually have a little freebie for all of you. We have this really cool magnet that we designed that has like a checklist of everything you as family members should know and be preparing for every quarter. So come find us, get your free magnet, get some swag, and just check out our beautiful Pence Union building. But I put in the chat, please reach out to us at either of those emails if you have any other questions or concerns. But if not, we're excited to see you soon.
See y'all soon.
Awesome. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.